So Avengers Doomsday is going to bring in a major comic book character from the whole Secret Wars and everything ending sort of concept that they did with the last iteration of the story. And if this is true, well, okay, why? Why exactly are we bringing in... Spoilers going forward, obviously. I think it's become pretty crystal clear that Avengers Secret Wars is going to be more than likely the biggest, most comic booky thing that Marvel Studios is ever going to produce, or at least up until this point. Because, one, it is Secret Wars, and two, going full comic book sort of needs to be a thing. They need to convey all these insane concepts like different Earths and planets smashing into one another, the destruction of everything, which of course we've already seen elements of in projects like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and Loki, and even to an extent what they do with anchor beings and universes/multiverses in Deadpool and Wolverine, but it's going to be more of that. So when we get to Avengers Secret Wars, if you read the last run that came out in the early 2010s, you know that there's quite a few important characters to the Incursion War and everything that's going on, and that these characters play a pivotal role in not just delivering exposition, but showing us the horrors and the dangers of what they're doing with the whole idea of universes colliding and the destruction of everything, and sell it in a horrific way because they sort of anchor your feelings and love for these characters in a great way with a great story. Enter the character of Black Swan, who in the Secret Wars comic was quite an important figure, and she will be appearing in Avengers Secret Wars, but there might be a twist that connects her directly to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Okay, so the character in question is named Yaba Taru. Now, for the purposes of this video going forward and not having to say her full name, this is simply the character known as Black Swan. So in the Secret Wars storyline, what we end up learning is that Black Swan is the last survivor of her people due to her planet being part of a incursion, and she hails from Earth 1365. In the comic, we learn that the Black Priests destroyed her Earth, and she was able to escape through the Library of Worlds, and was recruited into the Black Swans, which is a whole other thing we don't really need to get into because they're probably not going to touch upon all that. But the core aspect here is her character, aka the Black Swan. So what happens during this whole process is that she eventually gets to Earth 616, and she is obviously there to inform them and tell them about what's going on with the first incursion. She's sort of like their eyes and guide to this because they captured her and they know that she's involved with everything ending. In the comics, she's actually freed by Namor, and it's due to this that she joins the Cabal, which is a gathering of villains and anti-heroes, typically associated with Doctor Doom and the likes of Emma Frost and whoever else. That's not important here because, again, they're going to change elements, but she ends up sort of figuring out what's going on, and ultimately, when everything is said and done, she decides that Doctor Doom is right, and she joins God Emperor Doom. So she helps him in his mission to restore the multiverse in that perfect way that he wants it to be restored. She then joins the Black Order, which again is a group of villains put together by, again, Doctor Doom, and it's sort of like a who's who's of a bunch of villains we've seen from, we saw them in the MCU so far, but again, like Thanos, for example, and obviously other ones you'll recognize here. Because again, we've seen them in the MCU so far, which again, this would make sense. Now, this is where things get very interesting with this story, because the Black Swan character in the MCU might not be this same exact character. Instead, they are going to take Clea and turn her into Black Swan. Okay, so Clea. She appears at the end of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And we all just rightfully so assumed this is going to be just straight up Clea. Now, apparently, this might not be the case anymore. As we know that Marvel Studios had another film scheduled for 2027 that they scrapped. This was apparently Doctor Strange 3, but that is no longer in the cards. So they're forced to make some changes and, well, figure out what to do with characters. The rumors and reports out there are that Clea is actually going to be retconned and revealed to be the Black Swan. And that she goes and gets Doctor Strange. They go through the multiverse. She shows him what's happening. And just like in the comics with how Black Swan saw reasoning with Doctor Doom, this is how Doctor Strange is going to find reasoning that in his mind makes sense to join Doctor Doom and be part of his team, which we keep hearing is what is going to be the big revelation. Because he's seen incursions, he now sees this woman, Clea, aka the Black Swan, and he's going to go, oh my god, we are the bad guys. We screwed up everything. This is all the fault of everything we've done. I am going to join you and Doctor Doom, and we're going to restore one universe so all of this can be fixed and all this massive death, not in the millions, not in the trillions, we're talking in a Googleplex number. Because think of it, it's our entire universe with hundreds of trillions of stars to an almost infinite amount of multiverses. They want to stop this. And that's why Doctor Strange and Clea, aka the Black Swan, went through that incursion or portal into an incursion, because that's why Clea showed up. She's like, you caused an incursion, let's go. He's like, all right, what else do I got to do? I got to fix my mistakes. This all starts to make sense. So this, if this turns out to be true, sounds pretty awesome. And it's an easy way to sort of jump around not having Doctor Strange 3, but also bring in the Black Swan and put a twist on Clea, and then maybe reveal, hey, she is still Clea, but we're just going to make her our version of Black Swan and use that name. Which then just totally allows them to have this sort of direct way to pick up from Doctor Strange 2's ending and tell a coherent, clear story. Thank you for checking out that video, and thank you for your continued support. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you will, and if you're so inclined and would like some additional content from us, which includes unfiltered content and bonus discussions, we do offer exclusively in our member section. We hope to see you there. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.